The Texas Rangers have signed starting pitcher Nathan Eovaldi to a 2-year, $34 million contract with a vesting option for a third season worth $20 million. Just a great signing by the Texas Rangers as they have rebuilt an entire starting staff in one off season. Now, as far as Nathan Eovaldi, he has arguably had his best 2 years. In the last 2 years, of course, he does come with injury issues as he has missed time in the last couple of years. But of course, that's always been the case for Nathan Eovaldi. The Rangers have been connected with him for years and years, dating all the way back to 2014, again in 2018, 2020 as well. They were thinking about bringing him in. They finally are able to bring him into the Texas Rangers, Texas native anyway. We'll see if he is able to capture some of the success that he had in Boston. But what a great starting staff the Rangers now have. They had invested so much money this offseason in that starting staff because they haven't been able to develop starting pitching so far. Now, they do have quite a few prospects in the minor leagues right now that hold plenty of promise. Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker, Brock Porter, Owen White. There's a number of starters that they could use going forward. But their starting staff right now at the major league level is just as good, if not better, than what the prospects could eventually become. I mean, first, of course, they had John Gray last offseason that they spent the money on to bring him in. He didn't have a great first year, but when healthy, he was good. However, the blister issues did cause him to miss some time. Injuries, nagging injuries from here and there. I just kind of kept him out of the lineup for consistent periods of time anyway with the Texas Rangers. Rangers are hoping for a better year going forward. However, this offseason, the first thing they did was make a trade for a starting pitcher that could give them consistent innings in Jake Odorizzi. They got the Atlanta Braves to eat $10 million of his $12.5 million contract after Odorizzi picked up his player option. Now, he's not exactly a number one in rotation, but he's a very good innings eater, and with a rotation that now has a lot of injury question marks, he's a good bet to have in that rotation should those guys get injured. Then, of course, they brought back Martin Perez on the qualifying offer. He absolutely took a massive leap forward last year, was an all-star for the Texas Rangers, was a great signing for them last year on a one-year, $4 million deal. This year, another one-year deal, this time with a qualifying offer. He's looking to get paid next offseason, so hopefully the Rangers can get a repeatable performance out of Martin Perez this season and are able to extend him afterward. Then, of course, they got the big addition to their offseason anyway, and Jacob deGrom. 5 years, $185 million deal with an option anyway for the sixth year that needs to vest as well. But if they are able to get anywhere near the level of production Jacob deGrom has given in the past, they have an absolute ace at the top of the rotation. That is the best pitcher, unquestionably, in Major League Baseball when healthy. That's the question, though. When healthy. That's why the Rangers went out there and got so many different starting pitchers to cover them in case those injuries start to come up. Then, of course, they brought in Andrew Heaney, who only pitched 72 innings last year with the Dodgers, seemed to figure things out. Strikeout rate was way through the roof anyway. His ERA was only around 3.02. He was fantastic for them. But again, another injury issue, red flag that you need to keep your eyes out for. Then, of course, they bring in Nathan Eovaldi. They have added so many starting pitchers to this rotation. It's just this rotation looks absolutely nothing like what it did last year. This rotation is now no longer a weakness, but an absolute strength and is arguably one of the top 5, even top 2 or 3 starting rotations in the American League. Let us know in the comments section what you think of the Rangers' new rotation. Now, as far as the Rangers go, they still are not a team without holes. I mean, they still need a left fielder, I believe. I also believe they need to add to that bullpen in addition to a closer, and they still need to work on, just getting things going in the right direction as far as winning baseball games. This team was terrible in one-run baseball games, and with great starting pitching, that's fantastic, but if you're not going to be able to shut the door on them at the end of the game, what's the point of having great starting pitching? I do think they will still add a closer. I still think they'll add at least one more bullpen piece. It sounds like Matt Moore will not be the guy, as Chris Young basically was asked about it during a press conference recently, and basically said that his market is robust, as it should be. I mean, he was fantastic last year, but it sounds like the Rangers aren't necessarily interested in bringing him back at the price point that it sounds like it's going to get to for Matt Moore. So for Rangers fans, sorry, it doesn't look like you're going to be able to keep him. Now, as far as a closer, it sounds like the trade market probably is the best bet, but they're focusing on an outfielder right now. Expect the next move for the Texas Rangers to be a left fielder. Now, whether that becomes a guy like Pollock from the free agent market or a trade for a Brian Reynolds or a Max Kepler or something like that, we shall see. But there's a number of names that could fit in there, maybe a Jurickson Profar. But in either case, they need to improve that left field spot. They've done great things as far as that rotation, made great strides as far as an organization. They are now far more respectable than they were at any point last year, even with the additions of Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. They still needed to add to that staff, and add to that staff they certainly did. They added 5 new starting pitchers to that starting rotation, if you count Martin Perez, being deGrom at the top, Perez brought back, You have Andrew Heaney brought in, Nathan Eovaldi, and Jake Odorizzi, not to mention that they still had John Gray and Dane Dunning and Glenn Otto and Cole Raggins and Cole Wynn that they can use at different points should those guys suffer injuries. But they now have plenty of trade ammunition among those guys that are at that AAA level that may not fit into that long-term plan now for Texas. They can spin those guys off in trade to, say, the Pittsburgh Pirates for Brian Reynolds or Bednar. Maybe Ezekiel Duran, who doesn't have a home in the infield now, could be traded to the Chicago White Sox for Liam Hendriks. There's a number of opportunities out there for the Texas Rangers. We'll see which way they end up going. Let us know in the comment section which guy you would like the Rangers to get for their left field spot, which one you think they should go for their closer. Do you think the Rangers have done enough for their starting rotation? Do you think they should have spread out, instead of spreading out the money between Heaney and Eovaldi, which seems like the strategy they went with instead of bringing in Rodon? Or do you think they should have gone the route of bringing in Carlos Rodon and said, maybe not bring in Heaney and Eovaldi? For me, getting two for the price of one, though both pitchers seem to be great pitchers right now. One gives you a lot of length when healthy in Eovaldi. Another one with Heaney seems like a guy who may have figured things out in LA. As long as they can stay healthy, they may give you better overall production than a guy like Carlos Rodon. That's where I would stand on that issue. But the Rangers, in either case, certainly have made great strides as an organization. We'll see how they end up doing this season, but it sounds like to me that this team is at least a wild card contender right now, if not a shoo-in right now for one of those wild card spots. This team is significantly improved with that rotation. They still have some holes, like I mentioned, but we'll see who they end up getting for that left field spot and for their closer. But thank you guys for joining us here at The Upside. As always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.